Welcome to the Cougarland podcast. Special guest. We have Bruno here. And
Thank you
Bruno,
very much.
I say Toniolo, right?
Toniolo, yes, hi to everybody. I used to hang around with many of you guys outside of the school in the 80s. So then we grew up and you left for the States or rather destination, and I remain here as I am Italian. But I was surprised that some of you remained here in Italy, like John Boynton, remember Bad Drakulic, of course,
Bart
and
Draculic.
Mike Meach. Then he's older than we are. Then John Cahoot, he knows everybody, each and everybody here in the area.
Oh, Johnny.
And,
Johnny has my father's old job. So
oh,
it's not his job. It's not my father's anymore, but it's Johnny's. Yeah.
yeah, he's a teacher, I guess.
He teaches the physical fitness. It's a
Yeah,
wheelchair.
because
Yeah.
he has a volleyball team. He keeps he keeps up this volleyball team throughout the years. I can see his post on the internet. He's a very good guy, very interesting guy. Yes.
So you met originally knew Peter. Did you live near Peter, Richie?
No. Actually, we lived like in kilometers or in miles, 15 miles, 20 kilometers far away. But I met him downtown in the square, right in, more or less under the tower where you are there.
Oh, right here in Piazza dei Signori.
Yeah, Piazza dei Signori. He was out with Bart and other people. And so I met him, and then again some other guys and new people again. Then some people left, new people came by, and so many that you can see also in my friends list. And
Well, you become like an ambassador to Vicenza, to the American guys, and I kind of had that role too because I was there a long time. So, I speak Italian. We were just speaking Italian, but
yeah,
I'm German, Irish. Ma posso parlare italiano come italiano? And if I do this, if I do this in Italy, they'll go, "Ma lui italiano," and it's like they think I'm Italian after a minute. Not trying to show off, but it's just because if you live in it, you get the whole thing. I learned how to speak Italian more naturally, living full immersion in the community.
Yeah, because the Italian teacher there at the time was Mrs. Refosco.
Yeah, I remember her.
Yeah. She's still alive. I mean, I saw her right before the pandemics, but I know she's still alive and doing well. So
you met from Peter. You met Kyle
Abbott. I remember the first years, and I remember James Cameron. I remember Glenn Grovell. I remember Langley Thompson. I remember. It's a long list of people, and I remember, I remember Michelle Mobley. Now she's Brufau, the last name. Then Kerry Coppel, Jenna Coppel, Tracy Gibson. Now she's what was the name? Because they got married, and I still remember them as a maiden name, not as a married name.
People on this will remember them by their name that you remember them by, because that's the audience, is just the people that all the kids that went to school there pretty much,
Yes. And then I remember who was Kim Ledbetter, but she was here just for 9 months, 1 year, because the father was a teacher by the university. And then I remember Michelle Shirley, but she came here and was here just for 2 years. And I remember who was Megan Perillo. The father was the vice principal, I guess.
Yeah.
Then, of course, Jonathan Goldstein. And we went out together many times, quite a few times, because he flies for FedEx. And so when he's in Milan, he leaves the plane there and comes to Vicenza whenever he's got the time to do that.
It's interesting because you guys took a picture recently. I saw this, and then I was talking with Kyle Abbott, who I'm sure you know, and his
sister. He lived in Cabalbi, yes.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, "Oh yeah, I remember Bruno." He's like, "Oh, you're going to do a podcast with Bruno? That's cool." So he remembered you. He drives for FedEx, and he was friends with Goldstein too, right?
He has a sister, Karen, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He drives for FedEx, and Jonathan flies for FedEx. So
Yes.
they're the FedEx brothers, the FedEx mafia.
Yeah, then Jonathan has got two brothers, and I remember them too. You guys had a party by Jonathan's house one evening because the parents left, and there was a big ceramic cat. I mean, it was like 3 feet tall and got broken, so they tried to fix it before the parents came back.
You know, it's so funny, these ceramic things, because my friend Mark had one over at his parents' house, and he got the big speakers, you know, the real loud stereo speakers from the PX, from the exchange, probably from Japan. They were super loud. When you're younger, you know how you want your music, you want it loud. Now you're like, turn that down. But when you're young, the louder the better.
Yeah, I know.
So he's showing off to us. His mom collects these little figurini, you know, these little what do you call it? They're expensive, yard roll.
Statuine,
the statues, little statues. Yeah, they used to sell them. They're like several $100s, these little pieces, and so he cranks up the stereo, and it's just shaking the speakers, and they come down. So we had the same dilemma. Yeah, and then I think I get blamed for it, but I didn't do it. He turned up the music, but it had to be me. But it's funny because, you know, these $300-400 things sitting around the house, your kids are going to knock them over. That's just I guess that's the point of the story.
No, but I remember a party in '87 by the end of your academic year, at the end of the high school, by the Lake of Fimon, and we took a video with Gregor Habsburg and many pics. Now the pics are in Lorenzo's house, and we need to redevelop them because they are not in digital. But there is also a video that we took that night by the Lake of Fimon in July '87. That would be interesting if we could retrieve a copy of that. I have to ask Lorenzo.
Well, I haven't talked to Gregor, but I would say Gregor upload it, man, because you saw the one from, you know, my class, '86.
Yeah.
Lago di Marola, Lake Marola.
We
had our own rock band because Fred Puatua was an amazing musician.
Yeah.
His band, they were awesome. That was like the real taste of the music during that time, because it felt like everything you listened to on cassette, it sounded just as good. So you're like, oh, nice. You know, have that experience. So it was very. Did you ever go to those? See, I started these parties with my friend Mark. They're called bridge parties. You know, sotto il ponte.
No, not sure of that. We had a party probably in '88 by Fontaniva, by the lake of Fontaniva.
Okay.
We took so many cars and we went down there for one evening, and it started also to rain. And so we had a party there in '88 one evening. It was a long party. Then I don't even remember what I did. I know that for sure I came back home because I'm still alive, but
no, it's funny because the Italian kids, you were like, oh, this American thing seems fun. Most Italian guys would look at that and like, okay, so I had my neighbor Paolo, right? And I just visited him about 4 or 5 months ago, or maybe 6 months ago in Rome. I visited Rome for a few days, and I see Paolo. And so I'm going out to bars like September's Bar, Johnny's Bar, or downtown Vicenza, right? And where all the GI bars were. And I'm going out, and I'm like, come on, Paolo, let's go drink some beer. And he's like, fa schifo. He didn't like the taste. Voglio andare a casa a giocare video games. You want to go play video games with my younger brother, Sean, instead of going out with me drinking beer. And it was hilarious because I was just like trouble because I'm this wild American, and his culture, your culture, the Italian culture, your parents are like, hey, bevi un po' di vino, bambino. They give you a little bit of glass.
Yes. Tell you a story. We are not so fond of, not all of us, of heavy drinks, of alcoholics. We prefer wine and beer. But I remember that at a certain point, we went down to Piazza delle Erbe, down the Basilica. On
Mhm.
the right side of the picture that you see behind of you, there was a pub. And with Lorenzo, we invented a drink that was called Fucked Up. So yes, the drink was fabulous because there was the right amount of orange juice, then I don't know, Bacardi probably, and it was really good even for me that I normally do not drink alcohol. But at a
You make it
certain
sweet.
point, yeah, the guy there thought, oh, the Americans like alcohol, and started to increase the amount of alcohol. So one evening there were young kids, younger than we were. They were under the age of 18. They were all drunk, breaking bottles there in the square, and so the pub was closed. That was another story that I remember.
Oh, the Carbonieri and the MPs, they knew where all the kids would go. There was only so many places. It's easy. You could figure, you thought as a kid, you were unique and you had it figured out. You were doing something different. The only way to avoid the poliziotti or the Carbonieri was to do something like under the bridge, which wasn't on them. They would just go around the roads. They wouldn't go, let's go look under that bridge for some kids. They wouldn't go looking. But somebody's house or a bar, sometimes that could end up a little crazy. We used, I don't know, in my senior year, like the ugly American, we call it, right? Like, oh, the Americani, like, what are these people coming to my country? This is supposed to be downtown Vicenza, respect and all this stuff. and it's right across that museum or that, what is that building? Right across from Teatro Olimpico. The one over
Palazzo Chiericati, yes, Palazzo Chiericati.
Okay. So we're sitting up there on the steps. We have cases of beer and we're just in our music cranking. And it went on and on for a couple hours before the Carbonieri chased everybody away. But that was always like,
no, but that's
only the American kids would do this, you know?
Yeah. Well, now if you go there in the evening, it could be dangerous because of all the illegal immigrants. I mean, nobody hangs around Vicenza in late evening like we used to. I mean, drinking was probably noisy and some people had something to say, but it was quite innocent compared to what is going on now.
I agree. Well, yeah, we had houses and parents and income, and we had American, like the benefits of the
great fortune. I remember.
And so if you're an illegal immigrant and it's life or death and you don't care and you're just trying to survive, your level is going to be different than a bunch of crazy kids with some beer. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah, yes, because at those times, Vicenza, as I wrote you before, was a sleepy hollow. I mean, nothing really happened, nothing bad really happened. But now we have many troubles indeed, because nobody controls or is able to control these illegal immigrations. So we're not talking about refugees from Ukraine. We are talking about people who come here, do some crimes, so the day after they are in France or in Germany, or they go back to Tunisia or wherever they are from. So they are not even trackable because these people know each and everybody around Europe because probably they have a net. So they come here, they make a disaster, the day after they are already in another country. And it's not like in the States. Here in another country, it means that police cannot intervene automatically.
It's kind of anti-extradition. It's like, I mean, I saw something about, I think they were from, it was a diamond theft gang, the Pink Panther gang, and they were from Montenegro. So they would come down to France and other places, steal, and then send all the stuff back home. And like, you can't touch me because I jumped a border or something.
Yeah, because for them, Italy is a rich country. So they come here, they do shopping, and then they go back to Montenegro because Montenegro is like, I don't know, like El Paso during the Cowboys area. I mean, it's it's a state without too many regulation, no serious
Wild
police.
West.
Wild West, yes.
Wild West in the East.
Yeah. Wild East. So you go there, like if you see, when you left in '87, we still had to receive the Albanian immigration because Albania was a dictatorship from Hoxha. So once the dictatorship got weaker, they took the size of the boat coming from Cuba. They filled the boat with 27,000 Albanians and they came to Italy. I'll send you the pics. And from there, half of the country, Albania, came in Italy. So practically all the people around the coast of Albania jumped to Italy, and all the people on the mountains of Albania occupied the houses left from the people of the coast who came here in Italy. So practically the nation collapsed, and because it's just 80 kilometers from Italy, even though by the sea, they just crossed the sea and installed themselves in Italy, and they are still here.
This is interesting because I left before the end of the Cold War. So once the end of the Cold War happened, you had Italian mafia, Sicily, whatever, in Naples, and Gomorrah. You had all these different, all these different groups. But that seemed pretty peaceful after all the wall came down in Berlin, and then you had all the different mafias from all those different countries. And
if you think that in the 90s, if you remember, there was the Balkanian War. I mean, the former Yugoslavia collapsed and broke in 6 states.
Became Slovenia,
Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Macedonia. So after they killed each other, they finished to kill each other to define these borders. Some had many weapons because nobody got the weapons back from the war, and they came here to do crimes because they had all the necessary artillery to do that.
Because Italy is hard on guns, so if they smuggle guns, they have one up on whoever.
The problem is that if you see the news, you see that Africans take the boats and come to Italy. Okay, but there is the sea to cross. But it's easier to come to Italy. You walk from the former Yugoslavia, from the Slovenia, into the Trieste border, and nobody checks you out. So it's like a free entrance. It's an highway for the illegal immigrants. It's incredible. I mean, they just walk in.
I could
take the boats.
I could see this happening. Well, when I went back, and I heard about it because Lisa Rolick visited. I don't know if you ran into her. She went there with her husband about 4 or 5, maybe before COVID. She went there with her husband, and she's like, "Oh," and they get an Airbnb, and they're thinking bicycles and ring the bell, and he'll have some, sambuca, aranciata, pizza, whatever. The old '80s dream, right? And then she tells me, she's like, it's not safe to go out at night. Even with my husband, I don't feel comfortable. And I have a friend who lives there. He lives in Asiago, but claims Vicenza. He's a professional MMA fighter, cage fighter, Enrico. And he's like, I don't even want my girlfriend near that train station. It's so dangerous downtown Vicenza. And this is a guy that's very tough, like you Italians would call him machiste. I mean, he's super, super strong guy. And I met him in California, and he's like, "What? You're from Vicenza?" I go, "Yeah, I'm from Vicenza." He's like, "Oh," it's like he did not expect anybody to be from Vicenza that was American, that spoke fluent Italian, to be meeting him. I mean, it's the last thing you ever expect, especially coming from
California. It's so far from Vicenza.
Right. Well, con dialetto, when you speak with the dialect or you speak with Vincentino, you don't, they're like, "Oh wow, this is really crazy," So he and I became friends, and he told me how much it changed. But even before that, I was talking to a guy because I've done some stuff in the mixed martial arts world, and he had a jiu-jitsu, like grappling school up in Milan. And he had come down to Vicenza in his younger years to train to be a carabinieri, because the training, I guess, happens around Vicenza. They have them their boot camp or their training, right? And so he knew the Vicenza that I spoke of. He goes, "Ma Leonardo," he's like, "That's the old times. This is the old times. This is the 80s you're talking about. Italy's not like this anymore." And I go, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Come on." He's like, "You speak of great times, but it's not the same once about 1990.
You speak about a great time, yes, indeed, but it's not the same, unfortunately, anymore. We have so many challenges to in front of us, and they are not all solvable. It's like when you left, there was still the Cold War. Then, if you remember, in the 1991, the Eastern Wall collapsed. And so practically the American presence was weakened. Let's say that less people were here in Vicenza because the threat.
We don't need to protect you anymore, right?
Yeah.
Or as much.
Now instead, we are back Back to the Future.
Even more.
Because
Bigger Vicenza.
Pluto has expanded. Pluto is 3 kilometers from my house, less than 2 miles, because I see the Ederly's lights from my house, and I see the Pluto. It's in front of my house. It's just a mile and a half, 2 miles. So they have expanded because they have brought in from Wiesbaden a company of soldiers. Because now we are still in the tension with Russia is very high. So military presence in Vicenza has expanded up to not a joke, 10,000 units here in
Wow.
Vicenza.
I
Yes.
wonder how many it was when I was there. Maybe 2,000. I don't know.
Less. Because, and then I tell you another thing. Before you did talk about the PX, and it was
Yeah.
very convenient for you to buy inside. Now it's much more convenient to buy outside. So I see American, and then I tell you about the American in Italian inside of the Italian shops trying to buy something, because PX has become very expensive.
What I was trying to explain that in text. So when I lived there, and when I was in the military afterwards, I was in the Navy, Marinaio.
Yeah.
And so I was all over the ocean instead of like a Germany or Italy. Well, they have Naples, but this was like I was in the West Coast, California. And the big thing is everything was subsidized. So
Yes.
if you go in there, here's wholesale price, here's retail price, they were below the wholesale price.
Yes,
So
true.
you could buy like a steak, let's say the steak is 12 euro. You could probably buy it for 2 on base.
Yeah.
So you might feel like you might spend your money frivolously, like poorly as an American, go, oh, it's so tough. And then you as an Italian would look over at us and go, what are you talking about? You got it good. You're complaining and you got it so good. You don't even know. And, it's funny because you probably get to try some American food and like, ooh, I like this, or different things, but all the sugar and all the stuff in the American food ends up being the reason why we have so many overweight Americans that are poor, because the food is just, it's not as good as Italy. That's the one thing Italy still has going good, is the food. Can never compete with that,
The food, the style, the lifestyle. But I tell you about the Americans here. When you were here, like your father, your mother, and Peter's parents, people did remain here for decades.
Yeah.
Now, every 3 years, at the longest, they change. They don't like people to stay in a place more than 3 years, for many reasons. And not all these Americans that you see now, they are from South America. They are not from the States. These people are going to the military to get the American citizenship, but very few are from the States, like you and the guys I met.
Mhm.
They are from the South America or from
Interesting.
other places.
Well, the Navy, had people join from other countries. Sometimes I was like, oh, this is interesting. But, I think, to me, I see that as a good thing. If you want to come to America and you serve, you learn what it's about. You kind of get proud of being an American that way. I think it's a good thing. You have kind of a different way that you look at America if you go through that,
Yeah, that could be, but I tell you, many are not Americans born in America, in the States. I mean, they are from South America.
Culturally, personality, they have not fully become like Americans that you used to know, like the way we were.
Yes, true. They are more Latinos intended as South America. Yes, like many countries from South America.
I figured they would fit in with Italy easier because the culture, Catholic, Latin, that would be easy. Because Spain is easy for me. When I go to Spain, I love Spain. España, it's a little different, like what Italians might find offensive or a Spaniard might find offensive. You just have to learn the fine points of, okay, you just pay attention and see, okay, everything's good, Like I go to Spain a lot, the Canary Islands, and then Portugal, Madeira. I love that place. Beautiful island if you haven't been there.
The island, yes.
And then Barcelona and Madrid and, all of it. I wanted to go to Spain first because I had heard Lisa's story and other people's story about Italy. I go, I don't want to go back and see what I, what I missed be ruined. That would ruin it in my mind. You know, I went, but I did go to Rome for my 10th,
Yeah, I
wedding
saw your pics. Yes.
for my 10th wedding anniversary. My wife's like, we're stopping by Rome. I go, okay. Well, I happen to know that my neighbor from Vicenza lives in Rome, and my brother Sean had been visiting with them a few times already. So get to see my friend. I'm like, it's only been 40 years. It's like, when did we hang out at that party at James Cameron's house? Oh, that was 40 years ago. That crazy, right?
Yeah. I remember one evening by James Cameron's house. One of the many evenings party we had in those years. That was fun indeed, and we didn't create troubles. That was fun and just fun. We didn't go into critical situation as far as I remember. So that
How
was a
is it
good
for
time.
you being Italiano, seeing an American from the outside, going, they have this whole different crazy thing, and like my generation and the other guys like Peter and the people that you knew,
Like, yes, it was quite interesting because of the language, a different lifestyle, a different way to conceive life, many aspects very different from being Italian, and even the way to approach people less formal, if I can say so,
yeah,
and even the way to manage time, especially because in my family we had a very how can I say, rigid time schedule, like in the morning breakfast, then you go to school, then you eat, then you study, then you go to sleep. Instead, the flexibility in managing all these activities for the Americans were very different. I mean, there was no sharp time to do a certain activity, and that was the first sense of freedom, not to be tied up into a very strict time schedule to do certain activities. Like now
no
that I'm
break.
older, I eat whenever I want. I don't have to eat at noon. But in some Italian families, at noon or at 30, you must be there sitting and eating.
So more of the American break the rules, where the Italian was like very strict and very by the book, because the Italian kids, except for you guys, you and I remember your group. Who had the long hair? Is that you, or was it the other guy?
No, Lorenzo.
Huh?
Blonde, long hair, yes.
That was you, yeah?
No, Lorenzo.
Lorenzo.
Blonde, long hair, yes.
Okay. No, I remember you guys. I hung out with you guys a couple times. Yeah. It's funny because you meet so many people, you've seen them before and after, but like I would imagine, because I go back to visit my friend in Italy, and he's had this, you come back from America where you have extremes, and you come back to Italy and you go, I think it was Sean was telling me his friend Jamie Anson was considering moving back because he met up with Sean and Brian Jansing in Rome. And they were like, they had such the moment, the flashback. We could go back to this moment. But, then you try to come back to it, and it's not what you think. But when you experience it for 3 days or a week, the long term is one thing compared to the moments, I would say.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Because in the long term, you need to find a job, you need to find an house, you need to find a place to stay, decide where to live and what to do. Like I have this fresh experience from Mark Daly, who got here in 2018 to see what was going on here, if he could stay. And so we went out for dinner, and I told him what to do and the opportunity of remaining in Italy, difficulties, anything, because he got widowed. I mean, the wife unfortunately died.
Mm-hmm.
And so he got married with another person. She's got Italian origin. And so the wife decided to come and live permanently in Italy. And finally, they found a place in Verona, uphill of Verona, very nice place. And they decided to stay.
Wow, that's pretty neat just to see some people come back. And there's some people that the mom or the father was Italian. They had some ancestry so they could stay there. They could have the citizenship of Italy.
Yeah, very easily, because there are so many Brazilians with ancestors from Italy. They come here, and there are some places, you do the application by the town hall, And so they said, okay, my grandfather came from that town hall. Some places, some local communities have like 1,000 requests of immigrants to come back to Italy. So that they really accept many of them. So in case you need or somebody wants to come back to Italy, I have some contacts here who could help you out. So yes.
Cool. So how you can become, you have a new wedding service. You can marry Italian women. It's your dating service. That's nice. Say, if you're a single American woman, we have Italian men to marry. But if you're a single, okay, we're matchmakers. We'll start it on the
one way to get the citizenship is to marry an Italian. The other way is to get a job here, so you get a permanent visa, so you can remain here as long as you want. Then nobody checks you out really, so it's not a big trouble to get the citizenship or to stay in Italy permanently.
One thing I know, because I go to Europe a lot, is I get this experience where I want to stay, but then I know that if I stay to a certain point, I'll get where I want to go back. I know that that's going to happen, but you stay just as long as where you're like, okay, now I want to put down my roots here. It's like my wife and I would go to this island in Portugal, Madeira. It's beautiful, but it's like you could drive around it in like 2 hours and that's it. And you could see everything. So you could enjoy the hell out of it for a week, maybe 10 days. But my friend who lives there, he's like, you need to live here for a year before you buy anything. And he's a real estate attorney. He's like, listen, a lot of people realize they don't want to live here after so much time because, you know, they're trapped on an island, you know?
Yes, of course. No, well, if you think about coming back to Italy, I have some contacts here in Vicenza, like Manuela Ramsey. Do you know her?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, she's a little bit older than we are. She's an American lawyer, but she decided to come back and live in Italy permanently because her mother is Italian, in any case, from Vicenza.
Mm-hmm.
And what she does is selling real estate. She specialized in selling real estate to Americans. And in the pack, there is also some consulting for all the paper clearing to remain in Italy or to get the Italian citizenship.
Well, I think you could get it if you bought a house at a certain price, like most of Europe. The golden visa, they had it in Portugal. And Portugal was very affordable, like Lisboa. And the problem is that if you bought that house, all of a sudden every house was 500,000 or 250,000 euros. I forget the exact, and you had to pay cash, not financing. You had to pay cash.
Yeah.
So here you have let's say a condominium that's worth 80,000, 140,000 euros, but now people are buying it for the golden visa. I'll buy that house for 500, no problem. And that's what happened. So all the real estate jumped, but this also happened in Madeira too. And the economy got very expensive very fast. And the people that worked at the coffee shops and stuff couldn't afford to live there anymore. So you think about how that happens. Go ahead.
Yes, but to turn that problem around in Italy, because some small towns are suffering of depopulation, you can buy an house for €1. Of course, it's not the center of Milan. They are in the countryside. So you can buy houses for very cheap money. I can send you all the list and all the places. And then you can get the citizenship or whatever you're looking for. And in Trentino, the new is they give you a subsidy until 100,000 euros if you go and live in Trentino, which is the region above Veneto. So there are even interesting ways to settle here without spending a fortune.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can send you all the links. So
do you know anybody that's done that? I know the €1 house always has a catch. Like you have to rebuild an old house, or it needs 80,000 euros worth of work or something, right?
Yeah, because if you buy an house in Sicily for €1, you expect the house to be just a bunch of stones with a roof. So,
there's a doorway, and the rest of it's collapsed. Yeah.
Yeah, because like many British and Americans buy houses in Tuscany, but they are very, very expensive because There, you cannot build as much as you want. You cannot modify the house in the way you want. And it's historical all over the place. So, except for the big cities. So all these places in the countryside that you might think they are cheap, instead they're very expensive because you have all these American actors and sting of the police owning these farms and these casale in the countryside in Tuscany. And so they got very, very expensive. The place is fabulous, but it's very far from the main locations. So you should check it out. There are many nice places even there that you can buy.
I used to go to Tirrenia, Livorno in the summertime.
Tirrenia, Livorno, sì.
Yeah, I used to go down there camping, and I'd go camp out on the beach illegally. Me and my friends, we just go work as lifeguard Banini over at Villaggio della Pace, and do our lifeguard job, take our money, and go live on the beach in the dunes and the sand. And there was an abandoned hotel. It had sheets and stuff. We just go, we'd go get stuff from there, and then we would take all those umbrellas, sneak up over the thing at night and make tents, dome tents. So you put enough of them together like this, they're all like make a dome. So
yeah, you have a very, very, very funny youth, I guess.
You're like, interesting. Oh, now I want to do this myself. No, I'm kidding. But so, anyways,
I wouldn't suggest you to do this in these last years to sleep along the beach.
I was going to get to this point. Because I had a guy come from Livorno who was ex-Italian Special Forces and Legionnaire. He was in the French Foreign Legion too. Oh. And I had a mixed martial arts school. So he was teaching Krav Maga, this hand-to-hand combat. And he was telling me because he was in charge of the MPs for the base because they replaced the Americans with the Italians during some war to the Italian police to guard the base in Livorno, right? So he was in charge of that. Yeah. And so people would come from getting beat up down at the beaches I used to go to because there would be Albanian gypsies and stuff, mugging people, beating them with sticks, attacking them, trying to take their money. So he was teaching them the hard self-defense. So that was something I learned where it used to be peaceful at night, nobody bugs you. And that's what you're saying, down by the beach is dangerous, I guess, yeah?
Yeah. Today, in summer, probably it's less dangerous because there are always people during day and night. But now the low season, when it's empty, you never know who's going on around, and it's not safe anymore. I mean,
so like where is safe? Where is safe? Where do you like to hang out these days? Like what areas in the Veneto?
Well, I don't know how to answer because in the main places like any city in the main squares, but not to hang around the suburbs, not to hang around places in which there's no control, there's no police, there's no people moving around. Because even if you go to Padua now, there's plenty of people, so criminality stays far from there. But when you go like a small center during the night, you never know who you meet. The situation is not so tragic, but you never know what's going on because the control of the territory is not so safe, is not so granted as before. So before there was not much to control.
Yeah, well, so I mean, there was all Italians. They all had a culture. Everybody was uniform. Everything was chill. Everything was relaxed. And then it changed because all these people with different values or different poverty or different needs or desperation came through. And that changes the dynamic. So would you say to go out in Italy, you used to be 0 chance of a problem. Now you have 25 or 50% chance if you go the wrong place. Is that what it's
let's say 20%, 25.
But 20 to 25 is a lot from 0. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
In general, it's not huge, right?
You
don't hear me? I would say that it's a lot.
Yes,
it's coming from 0, but otherwise no, right? So who have you seen recently?
Because Vicenza was.
Sorry, go ahead.
I've seen Jonathan Goldstein. Mm-hmm. I've seen especially with some other guys like Daniela Austin, but she lives here in Vicenza. So I've seen Manuela Ramsey and a bunch of people that you've seen in the peaks one evening last year in autumn that we went out together with Jonathan, who came here for a couple of days.
Nice. It's nice to see somebody you knew from that long, yeah?
Yeah, and I saw a pic of Jonathan and Peter together in California because he met him because he flies all over the world. So he was there for some days. So, but with Peter, I have very few contacts. Sometimes I write him and then he answers after 1 month, 2 months. It depends. I'm not sure what he's doing, or he's in San Francisco. That's the only thing that I know.
Well, if he's
He told me
working for
that
one of these tech companies, they're like a cult.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say. Sorry if you work for one and you're watching the podcast, but it's really like you don't have a life anymore. That's what happens. That's what
yeah, for sure.
But you can tell your friend, look where I work. That's all you can do. It doesn't. The rest of your life sucks.
Yeah. No, but it's I call it a slavery because you don't have a personal life anymore.
So, have you been to visit any of them? Have you been to the States to do any visiting?
I was in the States for work years ago, but recently I got moved to another to another job, so I don't travel as much as before. So recently I see the people coming here in Vicenza or in Italy if I can. Like I saw your mother a couple of years ago. We went out together for a pizza a couple of evenings. She went to Abano and then she remained here for 15 days in Vicenza, I guess.
Abano is the home of the Germans. That's why I go. German people used to love to come to Abano. I swear they would they love the spa.
Yeah. It was the home of the Germans. Then they tried to capture some other tourists, like from Russia, but then because of the war, the business is weak there.
Yeah. Abano was like, I used to go there as a kid. I mean, I stayed there with my parents. The only thing I liked is we get to swim into the nighttime in the wintertime because the hot springs, the hot water.
Yeah, the hot water, yes.
Yeah, it was a nice little thing. But as far as the rest of the town, there wasn't much entertainment to do. It was just, hey, we have swimming pools. No. That's it.
There are hotels with swimming pools, but the rest of the town has got not much going on, let's say. Now they have created some walkways, some squares. They've tried to make it nicer, but after all, it's a bunch of shops and streets and hotels. That's it.
That's it. It's just like a hotel compound with swimming pools, and I didn't think it would ever develop a personality. Like at least if you go to Jesolo, there's some fun about that beach in the summertime. There's just an energy to it differently. You know?
Yeah, Jesolo is the second longest beach in Italy. The first is Rimini and the second is Jesolo. So it's like a 10, 12 kilometers long, and it's plenty of shops and new houses, new apartments. There's anything there. It's a funny place. It's a fun place, even for the young people. Well, if you have passed the 40s, I guess you would like to have a quieter place where to stay in summer, because Jesolo is really a casino beach in summer.
Yeah. Where are your favorite places these days? Where do you like to go?
No, well, I tell you, I go very often to Abano to walk because they have built a square, walkways. They've tried to make it nicer. They are building up right now a convention center, and there are many things going on. Then I go to Verona, to Padua. I can go to Asiago. I mean, there are many interesting sites. Lake of Garda. 1 hour I'm there, 1 hour I'm back. So you know there are so many things to see. If you've been by the Lake of Garda, haven't you? You've seen it.
I went there. I've swam in Lake Garda before. I camped there several times, so I know. But I think it's interesting because I lived in California where I ran into Peter out in San Francisco years ago, and basically I think his sisters are out there too. I think they're all in the Bay Area or in that general area. But San Francisco,
Yeah, Marisa and Monica, yes.
You have a quick trip to the beach. You have like maybe 2.5 hours to really good skiing, 2.5 to 3 hours, really good skiing. But you also have the ocean, you have wine country in Napa, you have everything in the Bay Area, just like Vicenza. You can go to Asiago, or you can go down to Jesolo, or you can go to Venice, or you can go this way, just go up and towards the Alps more, go in Trento or whatever, right?
Yeah, we have all the possible variety of tourism. We got the lake, we got the beach, we got the mountains, and they are 1 hour's drive far away from Vicenza all. So I'm in the middle of very interesting places, because even if you want to go to Florence, it's 3 hours, Bologna is 2 hours. I mean, everything is very close from this standpoint. So it's quite
especially with
interesting
the trains. I treni, they're faster now than when I lived there. We had the old trains. Now you have the bullet trains. You can go, how many hours do you save going to Florence or Rome? Like it's quick, like a quick airplane flight.
Yeah, now we have the Frecciarossa. You can be in Rome in 4 hours. So, well, you got to go Vicenza, Padua, or Verona, and then Padua, Rome, or Venice, or Bologna. So now there are the Frecciarossa. They are very fast, and now they are building the high-speed train. So it will take some other 10 years to finish all the lines. So you can imagine it's going to be like 300 or more kilometers per hour train. So that would be faster than taking the plane to move in Italy.
Faster than taking the Lamborghini. Very good. No. It's
yeah,
funny because when I lived there was no speed limit on the autostrada. Then they put 140 kilometers an hour speed limit later. So there used to be people used to drive like the Autobahn in Italy, right?
Now, I remember like Kerry Coppel's mother, she told me I have to go to the airport in Venice and I can be there in 40 minutes. And I said, how can you be there in 40 minutes? It's like 80 kilometers. Well, I drive 200 per hour, so I'm there in 40 minutes. So don't go here. Because she had a BMW 735i, and so she would drive like 200 kilometers per hour. Or I go to the Munich, to the PX in Munich, and I'm there in less than 4 hours, always 200 per hour. So I was like, my God, it's even dangerous, even because streets and were not well kept as they are now. So I was really wondering how she could make it in that amount of time, because it was really, really fast for the time.
Well, I had a friend my senior year. He had a BMW 528i, and it was fast for the time.
Yeah,
and its top speed was a little less, 215. But that's pretty fast. We were going, so we're racing down. We're going like 200 all the way down to Pisa, and we're like, how fast? More. Keep pushing, go faster. And so, anyways, we had to pull up this German man with his wife who has the aluminum foil, who's getting a suntan while he's driving, the reflector. And this old German Klaus is driving. He's like flashing his lights, like, get out of the way, losers, and we were running out of gas. So we get off the freeway, we fill up with gas, and we hop back on. And we're like, we're going to go get that guy. So he was probably doing 180 kilometers an hour. We come up behind him at 200, like, move over. He won't move over because he has to be the king. Nobody's faster than me. So we go around the other side and just take off at like 215.
You cannot not
do this anymore. This was an old fun thing to do. You can't do this anymore. No, but 215 is fast. I'll tell you.
Yeah. In those years, it was possible. I remember people racing on the highway, on the motorway, but now I wouldn't do that, because they are very severe with the speed limits, because of many accidents happened on the highways and many situations that happened. But in those years, there were not so many controls, not so many prohibition, not so many people bothering you. It was, let's say, a free time, much more than today. But
control.
Yeah, we have not improved because we have all this regulation that we see all these illegal immigrants breaking each and every possible rule. So you say the rules are just for the Italians; they don't fucking care about anything, you know.
I understand. I heard some crazy stuff. We're telling people that this podcast is the raw podcast. Isn't, oh, everything was good. No, we're just telling you how it is. But I know about these things. How about the people that come to your house? I don't know what, there's groups of people like in a little old lady leaves her house and goes to the grocery store. Someone breaks in, changes her lock, and it's my house now. Yes. And it takes a year to kick them out.
It happens not just in Italy, especially old people living alone. They go to the hospital, and so there are these illegal immigrants. They go there, they change the lock, as you say, and then you are not legally permitted to throw them out, even if you could do that. You have to call the police. The police says, okay, you have to report it to the Court of Justice. So by the time you do all these papers, they can remain there like 15 days or more, and they can.
I think they would do like a year in some places.
Yeah, even a year, and they occupy empty houses like public houses. In Abano, there were some dismissed hotels. They have occupied all these dismissed hotels that became their homes. So it was really hard to move them away, because every time they try to clear the place, there are some leftists going on and there and say, oh, poor people, they have nothing, and you kick them out and blah, blah, blah. So you have to be careful what you do, because there are these associations defending the immigrants. I say, okay, you cannot kill them for this, but there is a law and they have to respect it, because if they want to live in Italy or remain in Italy, they have to respect our law. That's
interesting. I mean, wasn't your new Georgia, she's trying to like move more people, like trying to play border czar now or something? Meloni, is she trying to like lock down the border more?
Well, the thing is, she's trying to do some projects of cooperation with the countries they are from,
to relocate them back.
Relocate them back, but also to give some aids to these countries where they are from, to help them to find a job there in their own country. Because if you come to Italy and the economical situation is not very, very good, they hardly can find a job. So they will end up into mafia, into crimes, into smuggling drugs. So she's trying to cooperate with those countries to stop to stop these people from leaving the country, and to help those countries to develop an industry and activity and manufacturing, so to attract people to stay there. It's different. So we had less people coming over, but we could not stop, because all Africa is out of control, let's say.
It's like, I don't know. You see, you come here and you feel like people either fit in or they want to bring what they have here to America. And America's just been so big that you don't notice it as quickly, because America is such a big place that you don't notice it unless you're in the middle of an area that's developing like this per se. But people are like, you can pick two sides. You could say, well, I need to be fair and be human, and then you could pick the other side and say, hey, this is not working. You're not respecting this area. It's like everything that you knew, you had it. See, we lived in an area where you go to Italy and the Italians are Italians. And then now you come back and it might be somebody of a different nationality or culture selling you, gondolas at the store in Venice, because whoever the Italian was get offered a lot of money. They're like, I'm out of here. I'm moving to Spain, right? Is that kind of what happened? Things like this?
Well, Italian people, rich people, do not actually just move to Spain. They go now to how can I say, countries where the taxes are lower. So it means like
Dubai. Dubai.
Yeah. They used to move to Switzerland, but now even Switzerland has raised the taxes, and has got many more controls for the money laundering and other aspects. So they moved to Dubai, to those countries where the money laundering is not so controlled, and Emirates, Saudi Arabia, the Arab Peninsula. So all they moved to Eastern Asia, like Thailand, or those countries where there aren't too many questions about where all your money come from. Let's say.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Okay.
You learn about life, the real stuff, huh?
Yeah.
So I mean, I heard of a lot of. I don't know. It's
people moving to Spain. It's the middle class, the German or British middle class. They move to Spain because life is less expensive than in Germany or England or the UK. So they move down there because with the pension they can live much better and warmer than in their own countries. But that's the low middle class moving to Spain.
Well, I thought about moving to Spain because I felt like, wow, this is so easy. And I was over there. And then there's some things that you're not paying attention to until you move somewhere. And then everything changes. Like, this has been my hesitancy. I know the American rules and laws because I grew up in it. Yeah. But you could move to a foreign country. Let's say that you like Mexico and you move down there, you buy a condo and you get a low interest rate and everything's fantastic and all the shopping is good. But something changes in 5 years and a new person's in government and they go, we're tired of the Americans eating the pizza for half price. We're going to raise the prices. I mean, something can change.
Well, I tell you what, the song, Italian song of a friend of mine, after the graduation from the university, went down to Mexico. I'm not sure which place, central Mexico. And he told me it's plenty of Americans going there to live and to spend the retirement in Mexico. Yeah. So they have all these special places just for the Americans, and the Mexicans are not allowed to get in, but the prices there, they are very, very expensive. So it's not so convenient to go there and live in Mexico. Because Americans, like, say Italians, they have their own way to eat and sleep and the kind of life that they want to do. So they have built, the Mexicans have built all these places just for the North Americans to live and stay there. But of course, prices are very high. So I don't see that convenience to go down to Mexico just to remain.
The resorts have become 5-star. They went from nice little beach vacation to, but the same thing happened on the island that my wife and I liked. So because of the war, I guess a lot of German people were moving to Madeira because it's safe. It's off the coast of Africa. It's not where no one's going to launch any missiles at this place. And so they're like, and they were relocating companies, and it's like interesting. And the my friend who's a Portuguese gentleman, Pedro, he's like telling me, he's like, 50 houses sell in this island and it changes a whole economy, because if people are bidding, and he's like, all it takes is 10, 30 houses and then the prices are double because everybody paid double for the house. And now everyone's house is double. And all of a sudden prices go up.
So it is not,
and the person that serves you coffee or who's your waiter or who's your barber, they have to drive now an hour to get, because they can't afford the rent, because they're like, how much you paying for that rent? 300 euros. Now they're like, we need 3,000 because that American will pay 5,000. I'm giving you a deal. It's like, I don't make 3,000. So they have to drive an hour out of town.
Yeah, because it is called speculation. So the first who arrives there is very lucky, but then the follower are less and less,
Bitcoin real estate.
yeah. Because prices are getting higher and people ask for more money, so it's not convenient anymore once you reach a certain price. But I tell you, because Madeira, it's an island very small. It's like Sardinia. If you go the north of Sardinia, it's very expensive because it's an international touristic place. But if you go like center or south of Sardinia, that's say not free, but very cheap.
But probably less conveniences like maybe hospitals or different things that you would want.
Yeah,
Right?
that's another aspect that I keep telling my wife. Once that you pass the 50s, you got to see if you want to move. Well, there is a good hospital in the surroundings, because you never know. Like, I've been to the hospital for 10 days for some checkups, and the hospital in Vicenza is very, very good. But if you go to certain places, hospitals are not working well. There are no hospital. Doctors are not so good. Like, you go to the Canary Island. I know a guy very close to my house. He was in the Capo Verde, and one of his friends, got into a heart attack, and then they didn't even have some, how can I say, diagnostic
Defibrillator,
tools.
the boom electric.
Yeah, enough to detect how bad it was, this heart attack. So you can imagine. I mean, if I'm in Vicenza, if I'm in Verona, if I'm in Milan, I know they have the best of the technology, because we have a very good health system in this area. The health system is the best in Italy.
Interesting
Especially,
enough.
yeah.
I was in Greece.
In Greece, I'm not sure. I have no clue about
No.
Greece.
Greece, you have to be careful, because Greece could have an island with no doctor. There's a lot of times, like the locals told me, you need to be careful. There's probably not a doctor here. There might not be an emergency helicopter to get you off of here. You might have to wait for the boat tomorrow. You know what I mean? And it's like maybe Uzo is your only doctor while you're there. So it's here's what they told me. He says there's this doctor that they had him come live on this island, right? And so they get him a house at a good price, but that island in the summer, the price went up so much the doctor couldn't afford the rent. They had to give it away for Airbnb instead of having a doctor on the island. How about that?
No, one thing that I'm happy about living in Vicenza is that we have the best in Veneto and Vicenza. We have the best hospitals in Italy, better than Turin, Milan, because the rate hospital population is still
balanced. It's not over.
Yeah. And then we have, this is one point that is not well known, but we have many volunteers association in the health business. So people donating blood, people assisting the elderly, people working free part-time for the hospital. We have many associations taking care about people, extra governmental, let's say, non-governmental. Yeah. So the health system and what we call the sanità, it's a point that we are very concerned about. So all politicians do not have to touch or to alter the way it works, because we donate, we follow, we keep a very strong attention in what's going on in the health compartment, in the health business. So for the hospital, I'm really positive about living in Vicenza.
Vicenza is people might not realize, or maybe they did or didn't, but Veneto is a more prestigious region in Europe and in Italy than a lot of people realize. It was a more upper class, middle class to wealthier area in some cases.
Yeah, because remember that we have a very simple philosophy: live and let live. Mind your own business. If they ask you for help, you help them. Otherwise, they do their own business. You don't care. You do your own business. So live and let live.
So who have you been trying to see, or who have you not seen in a long time, or wonder where
many people I haven't seen in a long time, because after my father died, I got busier and busier at home and also with my work. So I keep contacts by the internet, by when somebody comes and visit Italy. But I have a very hard time to move away for days or months from Vicenza. So I haven't seen many of my old friends. Indeed, I'm really sorry of that, but I try to keep contact.
I think everybody's life has the same situation where you get locked into a routine. Oh, my kids, my daughter's college, or my son's, and my wife, and something. something changes in how your life is dictated as you get older.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
kind of
correct.
cement,
Yeah,
cimentato. Your feet are in the cement, right?
cementato in a place because I have an house to manage, I have a work to manage, I have my garden, the grass to cut. I
Right.
have to go shopping. In fact, later I'll go shopping with my wife, and it's a routine. So it's hard to live except for the few days of vacation that you have every year, and stay away for months or for a week because I got many things going on and I have to attend them and I have to follow them. So luckily there is this internet that we can see each other across the ocean, and it was not possible 40 years ago or even 30 years ago.
Well,
So
you can see the other Cougar Land podcasts. There's some people you will recognize.
yeah. I will check it out because I remember that you started during the pandemics to do these podcasts, to do these meetings, but then there was some, I don't know, pause. How do you call it? And then now I've seen that you restarted the business.
Everybody went back to their normal life.
Yeah.
And I figured I had a captive audience because everybody was at home. So I could just call and get somebody on a podcast.
Yeah.
And then,
And
now people are like, give me 2 weeks, give me a month, give me 3 weeks. And I'm like, I do a podcast with some famous like MMA fighter type people. And so it's got 200 and something thousand subscribers. It's got a lot of followers. So it's big. This is like I just do for my pleasure and for my classmates, and that's it. I'm not trying to be the most popular guy in school. It's just like the memories are good for all of us as we get older. How do we remember things? That's what I find interesting about these conversations, because we're like, did I see this? Did you see that? Yeah, it's the same thing. To come to the same conclusions, help paint the picture of the past as we think we saw it or how we want to see it, and so forth. Yeah.
We are into too many things, but it's normal when you get older and you get a job and you have a family and you have a business or any activity. It's hard to have time for the friends sometimes, except for the few that you can find around your town when you go around. It's not so easy. I'm really sorry of that.
It's kind of funny. You probably saw some people for years until their parents moved back to the States. Like Peter probably came back, I don't know, a couple times.
I know that Marisa has got to come to visit in June.
Okay.
And she would like to go to Alan Bruzzo's vineyard to get some wine.
Do you still see Alan from time to time?
No, not really, but he lives close by in any case, but I haven't seen him. No.
So you live towards Alan, like North Vicenza, kind of?
He lives in Lonigo, a place that's like 20 kilometers from here, 25 kilometers.
It just seemed so far when I was a kid, because Alan and I rode there together on his 50cc Vespa, which was slower than, a bicycle.
Slower.
It wasn't modified. So we're going like probably 20 kilometers an hour. So it was like an hour or whatever longer to like, hang on, this underpowered Vespa is going to get us up there. I mean, nice bike, but just not very, he needed to put the Proma and the bigger carburetor, the bigger
carburetor. Carburetor and maybe a 75cc to make it faster.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, like to modify. And, so that we would go out there, and I remember hanging out at Alan Bruzzo's winery on the weekend. His dad had just purchased it. I'm like, wow. He's like, go chop down some grapes. I'm like, oh, this should be easy. We have machetes, or we have the hook knife. We're like kind of like, not this one, but the one that's manual. After about 10, 15 minutes, your hands are destroyed. You're like, this is not easy work. And his dad would wake up in the morning, let's go. I'm like, damn, this guy's intense. I don't feel like doing that kind of work. And then so Alan and I would drink a lot of his parents' wine. But the problem was you get a headache so much because wine right to the head. It's not whiskey.
It's like beer. Yeah.
But beer will get your nose, because beer has a thing that makes your nose get clogged up in the morning. So we would go out there and like, you're on a farm, you're on a vineyard. Like, hey, you get any food? He goes, oh, let me go get some eggs from the chickens. And that was it. Like, that was like our snacks eating. We had like eggs, all kinds of different eggs and wine. And that was the experience, because imagine like you would see how crazy the Americans look to you like, oh, they have these VCRs and all these movies and all this stuff. It's like, it's like science fiction. I want to go see what they have in the States. Maybe I'll do that when I grow up. But then you get out to the, Campagna out in the countryside and the winery, you're like, no, you thought Vicenza was slow? Let me show you slow. So that's how I remember. It was beautiful, but that's how I remember it as a kid. As an adult, yeah, I could sit outside and enjoy the wine now, but as a kid, I couldn't do that. Too much energy, you know what I mean? I wake up with like 12 double espressos. I didn't drink them, but my energy was like that, So,
yes.
So it was like very boring. And La Dolce Vita, when I come back and I'm older, that's the only time you can appreciate it. You see your parents and stuff when you're young, you're going, you are boring as hell. They're like, oh, let's sit here and look at those trees, drink that wine, enjoy the moment. And I'm like, come on, there's a movie or some laser guns or something going on somewhere. Let me go do something. Yeah. So it's kind of funny to contrast.
Yeah,
it must have been what attracted you to all the crazy American stuff, because it looked like another world.
We call now it's called the slow life here.
Yeah.
Compared to the fast life, the life in the fast lane. Yes.
You're not going to Nordest tonight?
No, not really. No, but the Nordest is still open. One of the few discos still open.
Nordest was there when I was a kid. Nordest has been there since the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like probably a 50-year-old discotheque.
Yeah. One of the few that remained open in the area, because even going to disco is not so fashionable anymore. So people go to the different restaurants with music. There are different ways of entertainment.
I used to go to Marostica, that used to have a cool club, the Shindy Club. I like that one. That was like some villa.
Shanghai.
Shanghai, is that? Maybe they changed the name.
I don't know. There was because some discos changed the name.
Palladium.
Yeah, Palladium is closed. Yes.
It's only a matter of time. The Palladium will be closed.
Too many troubles. Then during the 90s, that there were so many black guys trying to hook up old Italian ladies. And then there was also a crime because some guys killed each other for I don't know what reason. And then even these kind of discos, they are fashionable for like 10 years. Then they change the formula, or people change the way to have fun, new generation, and so they close down.
Well, I think there's more fights and more danger for the GIs because there's more dangerous criminals out there now than there was when I was there.
Yeah,
so there's somebody like, you could be a big buff soldier and be macho and all this, but if there's some criminals that like are from another country and they have nothing to lose and they have machetes in the car, all your karate means nothing. All your boxing means nothing.
And then I don't see so many soldiers around anymore. I mean, Seps is closed, and even the other pub before is closed.
Johnny's?
Yeah, they have transformed that into a shop or something.
What about Big Ben?
No, the Big Ben is closed for many years. But there are new places where to have fun, because the owner wrote on the Facebook why he closed. I don't remember why. And I used to go to the Big Ben very often in those years, in the 90s. And still we all missed that place, which was very, very nice. And but there are new places, new ways of entertainment. So yes, things change throughout the years, not really for the worst. But there are different ways to have fun.
So who has surprised you the most of all the people that have come back were you not expecting to see? Like
long list.
Long list, huh?
Yeah, indeed. Long list, and I'm not sure all these people would like to come back or to see me. But it would be very nice to see them once again, indeed.
Yeah, I think that it could happen. I mean, there's a reunion. I don't think I'm going to this one. I've been to one before. It was nice. It's nice to have that because you understand that everybody that lived there lived like 50 different states all over the world. So we get shot out over the world, where some places, like you probably know where most of your high school friends are from Italy. If they didn't move out of the country, they probably live in the same neighborhoods, I would guess.
Yeah, well, my friends from my high school remained here in Italy, of course, because they were Italians. They are Italians. But I know you guys came from Hawaii, from California, from Missouri, from any possible place. And so you returned or went to the military. So you spread it around any possible place. Yeah. That's very hard to gather back to get back together here in Vicenza, I guess. But
I'll give you an interesting thing I thought about. So I ran into somewhere, I was speaking Italian to somebody, and they're like, wow, how do you speak Italian? And you realize I lived there 13 years. And my brother speaks Italian. We both speak it because we grew up with it. But when you go out and you speak it fluently to somebody, most Americans out of 350 million Americans didn't learn to speak like this. I was like, we were the only two sons of the one teacher that lived in Italy for 13 years in the world. So the likelihood that you're going to run into that one person. So like the fighter, when I ran into him, he's like, it was like a strange thing to see. You can imagine how shocking that was, because you're expecting the American dialect. Ciao, buongiorno, io parlo italiano come te. One of those people.
No, but I remember that you, the Riches, and Draculic were here for a long time, especially the teachers. But the military people did not remain more than 3, 4, 5 years here in Europe.
Yeah.
That's why I met so many people, because there was a big turnover. And so you were here for 10 years, but many others didn't remain that long, indeed. So they could hardly be interested in learning Italian and then learning German and then learning Japanese. I understand that's very, very hard, because
do you see like Johnny Kohut, like once a year run into him, or Bart, or anybody like this? Or is that like every couple of years? Like how often do you bump into these people?
But I write to him but his wife is from Vicenza, but I haven't seen him very, very, very often, indeed.
Lives in Bologna, yeah.
Yeah, he lives in Bologna, which is not far, and the wife is from Vicenza.
Well, you have, I think the Millers live there. I don't know if you knew the Millers.
No, not really.
Denise Miller, she's very Italian. I mean, she still speaks.
Denise Miller. Oh, yes. Okay. Now I know who she is. Yes. Yeah, and John Boynton lives in Rome.
Okay. And so does the beer guy. I just said his name earlier.
Brian Jensen. Yes.
Yeah. Brian Jensen. Yeah. He lives in Rome too.
Yeah. Yes. And John lives in San Giovanni, but the mother lives here in Vicenza. His mother lives in Vicenza.
So do you see Daniela? You might see probably more than average.
Yeah, I see her not so often, but she lives here in town. I used to see her more often before the pandemics. Then many things went on, so we stay in contact. We saw each other in September. But she lives, let's say, 6 kilometers from here, let's say 4 miles. She doesn't live very far. But she's got 3 kids, and many things. The mother is not doing well, so she's got many things to attend to.
Busy. This is how life happens. You get busier, and you're like, hey, I finally get really, really busy. You're like, we want to do something? Well, I can't. I got busy.
If you think that I was always with Lorenzo, and then he lives 2 miles from here, and I sent him the birthday wishes because his birthday was yesterday, and we did talk on, let's say, on this application, on the Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
And I mean, we kept talking on the Messenger, and I thought it would be easier to take the car and stop by and say ciao instead of tipping here on the mobile, because he lives so close. But sometimes it's foolish how busy we are, and we cannot escape from our routines, as you say.
So we have to break our priority to make the exception, because if we don't, I think we will regret it sometimes. So I think we have to like break from the routine and say,
I
okay,
agree.
everything out the window. How come you weren't at the meeting? I'm sorry, I had to do something. I spent 15 minutes talking to my friend. You know, that's what it was.
Yeah, I agree, because we got older without even seeing our friends or talking to each other or talking to other people who live here in Vicenza. And so then you say, I live like a loner, work, home, shopping and work, home. It's the madhouse. It's not an easy life. As you said, as you wrote, we keep surviving, but it's not so funny after all.
Right. No, you have to do what you have to do. I think it's been a great podcast. Anybody you want to say hi to before we wrap it up?
Well, to everybody. So I don't have any discrimination. This one that I remember, that one that I don't remember. So I would like to say hi to all my friends, to those who remember me, and hoping to meet them one day soon in time.
That's awesome. You've been awesome guests. Thank you for keeping the history of your
Thank you so much
town.
to you
were
for this
guesting your town.
opportunity. Take care and see you soon. Okay?
Grazie.
Ciao.